NEC Section 300.22 covers ceiling spaces used as plenums. Subsection 22 discusses listed plenum cable. In other than dwelling unit, air handling ceilings or other spaces used as plenums must not contain electrical conductors or equipment that aren't listed and marked as suitable for plenum use. This means any cable or equipment installed in a plenum space needs to be specifically rated for that environment. These plenum-rated items will be tested for their smoke and fire characteristics and have to meet certain requirements. Subsection 22b addresses non-metallic wiring and non-metallic sheath cable, other than listed plenum cable. In spaces used as plenums, only wiring methods consisting of Type NM or Type NMC cable or Type AC cable can be installed. Other than listed plenum cable, cables and raceways must not penetrate from other spaces into the plenum space. The NEC states that such spaces must not contain electrical equipment other than what is permitted by 300.22c. The provisions of this section do not apply to the wiring of integral fan motors or equipment associated with them. So, standard NM cable and AC cable can be used in those spaces, but keep in mind a limitation that the NEC specifies for the uses of those cables elsewhere. Subsection 22c concerns wiring above ceiling tiles. In other than dwelling units, if ceilings have exposed structural elements spaced not more than 600 mm or 24 inches apart, the space above these elements is not considered a plenum space for the purposes of this article. The NEC states that in accessible areas, wiring and equipment installed above removable ceiling tiles are considered accessible, and in concealed spaces, wiring and equipment must not be installed except as provided for concealed spaces in 300.21. This means that if the structural elements are spaced closely enough, the space above the ceiling is not treated as a plenum, simplifying wiring requirements. But, depending on the area, it is considered to be accessible or concealed. Accessible will require the use of wiring methods such as EMT or MC cable, or if the situation allows, NM cable. Concealed spaces require more protection, so NM cable, for example, is not allowed. Finally, subsection 22d allows non-metallic extensions. Non-metallic extensions from luminaires, ceiling fans, and other ceiling-mounted equipment within the plenum space are permitted where such extensions comply with 400.8 or 422.16 as applicable. This allows for flexibility in connecting equipment within the plenum space using approved non-metallic extensions and provides certain parameters to follow. Now, regarding the question of ceiling structures that capture ceiling tiles to prevent removal or dislodging, especially in fire or earthquake qualified systems, the key factor is whether the space above the ceiling is considered a plenum. The presence of these capturing structures does not automatically make the space a plenum, but it does impact accessibility. If the structural elements are spaced 24 inches or less, the space is not a plenum. If the space is not a plenum per 300.22c, the rules for wiring above ceiling tiles apply. The wiring methods need to be suitable for either accessible or concealed locations. If the only way to remove the tiles is by breaking them, the space is likely considered concealed once the tiles are in place. Therefore, wiring must comply with 300.21, which focuses on fire stopping and preventing the spread of fire. The NEC specifies that electrical equipment must be installed in a neat and workmanlike manner. Approved raceways, cable assemblies, boxes, cabinets, and fittings shall be used with approved methods. The electrical equipment must be installed in accordance with the NEC and the manufacturer's instructions. The wiring running above the ceiling must be supported appropriately and cannot be subject to physical damage. Where cables pass through holes in framing members, they must be protected from abrasion. Always consult local building codes and the authority having jurisdiction (OJ) for specific interpretations and requirements. They might have additional rules or clarifications based on local conditions. Fire-stopping materials must be used to maintain the fire resistance rating of walls and ceilings when they are penetrated by electrical components. It's important to maintain the fire separation and fire resistance ratings. The key takeaway is this: firstly, determine if the space above the ceiling is a plenum based on the structural element spacing. Secondly, If it's not a plenum, follow the rules for wiring above ceiling tiles, considering whether the space is accessible or concealed based on the removability of the tiles without damage. Thirdly, ensure compliance with 300.21 regarding fire stopping and the general requirements for neat and workmanlike installations. Finally, always consult with the AHJ for clarification on specific project requirements.